I overheard a media interview in the hallway with our public health officer, Dr. Wooten, and Dr. Wooten, you were asked whether or not you were recommending all other municipalities follow suit and institute a similar ban. And I took pause by the response because it was an affirmative yes, that you did recommend that. But I remember not too long ago when we were discussing the hepatitis A outbreak, and frequently in front of this board, we were told that you defer to the CDC for the recommendations, and those are the recommendations that are presented back. So has something changed? Has the CDC, since we left in October, recommended that other jurisdictions actually ban products?
Supervisor, many other jurisdictions constantly call our staff, our TB control staff, to get guidance or technical assistance about implementing a ban, whether it's on the flavors or the e-cigarettes or on smoke-free outdoor dining. So we are constantly engaged to provide guidance. The state also contracts with at least 4 other nonprofit organizations to provide support to jurisdictions as well. So again, if other jurisdictions are interested in taking the route of flavor bans, we can provide them technical assistance in that.
Okay, but you're unaware if the CDC has issued any guidance on flavor bans?
No, CDC has issued, no, CDC has not issued any bans. I share with you the 3 changes that have occurred since October. The first is the president's legislation, and then the FDA's selected enforcement, and then the last one is the state's legislation that is being introduced on flavor bans.
I appreciate it. And actually today it wasn't brought up directly from the CDC, but what in full the CDC recommends. So for what it's worth in the conversation, I'd like to read straight from the CDC's website what they are recommending in full, because we have a lot of being used in parts. So let me just read it in full, and if you want to fact check, you can go on the CDC website. The CDC and FDA recommended that people should not use THC-containing e-cigarette or vaping products, particularly from informal sources like friends, family, or in-person online sellers. Vitamin C acetate should not be added to e-cigarette or vaping products. Additionally, people should not add any other substances not intended by the manufacturer to products, including products purchased through retail establishments. While it appears that vitamin E acetate is associated with EVALI, there are many different substances and product sources that are being investigated, and there may be more than one cause. Therefore, the best way for people to ensure they are not at risk while investigation continues is to consider refraining from the use of all e-cigarettes or vaping. So it's clear up front, should not use THC-containing products, and down below that while the investigation continues, they ask for you to consider refraining. But on the very same website, they've also pointed out and cautioned against people who have used this to cease smoking to stop vaping. So I think the CDC website provides some guidelines that are very important for our community. I would just make the suggestion that if you do want a direct source of information from the CDC, they have a great fact sheet on their page now. It's up and running. They also include facts about the EVALI cases, which were presented today. It's important to note, too, that 94% of the EVALI cases that are involving youth patients ages 13 to 17 years of age, they acquired their THC-containing products from informal sources that we talked about versus anywhere else, including our store fronts. So let me be clear today that nobody is contending that nicotine and tobacco aren't bad for you. I do not support big tobacco. I do not support teen use. I do not support bad actors in the retail community either. But I do not agree with the proposed solution that we have in front of us today. I gave a lengthy speech last time we heard this item, and my thoughts haven't changed since that time. There has been no new information presented today, other than some of the new recommendations by the FDA. In fact, I find it a bit curious that the board wasn't presented at the beginning an update from the CDC on the cases of death, those EVALI cases, because a lot has changed since we last discussed this issue. They've really narrowed down those cases. But maybe it's because it simply doesn't fit the narrative, because the decision already was made on this item before we ever came in the chamber. So I read it in the newspaper myself. I understood the positions of my colleagues before we walked in here. I told you last time I'm a mother, I'm a coach, and I'm an advocate for kids and all prevention models, especially when it comes to our youth. I spend so much of my time dedicated to giving back and working with our youth. I'm not a smoker, nor have I ever been, and again, I certainly have never supported big tobacco. But this ban won't do what we intend for it to do. It won't stop vaping in our youth, and that scares me. As I pointed out in October, this is the store of choice, and our teens carry it around all day long. Selling tobacco products to kids is illegal and it's wrong, but I've been presented zero evidence that these bad actor retailers are existing in San Diego. I'm interested still to see the information that suggests that our retail community is responsible for the teen vaping epidemic here. This ban, while it sounds good, will only succeed in restricting the choices of law-abiding adults, as pointed out by Supervisor Desmond, and putting these small businesses that we've heard from today out of business. If we really care about our kids, then a more difficult question for our community is, what are we going to do about this? The online store they carry with them 24/7. And that is going to take a lot more time and a deeper understanding to answer. And I'm up for the challenge, so I invite anyone in our community that wants to be part of this with me and start to get to know and understand how our kids are accessing these products that are dangerous to them. I'm all in, and I hope you are too. Thanks.